I dressed for you. Hello.
Yay.
Good morning. Good day, everyone. Welcome to Work Should Feel Good. This is the show where your career growth meets your real life. I'm your host, Diana Alt, and today my guest, Liz Wilcox, and I are going to talk all things about building work the way that you want it to work fit with your life, and how to survive it in this crazy world.
I'm so excited. Sorry to interrupt. Yay.
So, Fresh Princess of Email, keynote speaker, email guru. How did you land an email? Tell the people how you did an email marketing that everybody's.
Yeah. Speaking of work should feel good, I started as an RV travel blogger. Well, first I started as a teacher, and then I thought, I don't want to be a teacher forever. That doesn't feel good. I guess I've just been chasing the good vibes for longer than I even thought. And I said, you know what would feel better is if I made more money, but I love education. So I'll be an administrator. So I went and got my master's degree in leadership. And then I had a kid and I thought, now education doesn't feel good at all because I could be a really great educator or a great mom, but I know myself and my capacity. I can't do both. And so I let that, dream sort of go. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? Because I do like to work. Work does make me feel good. It does give me some sort of purpose outside of motherhood. I thought, oh, well, start a blog. I could work from home. That feels good. That's an immediate yes. Oh, unlimited earning potential. Immediate yes. And so I started blogging. I was an RV travel blogger because guess what? I was traveling in my RV. And after a few years, it just didn't feel good anymore. Wow, now I get why Diana had me on the show. Y'all are in for a treat. And I just thought to myself, I don't want to throw all this hard work away. What am I really good at? What did I learn from this blog and what's the best part of this blog? And I thought, oh, it's my email list. My email list is the thing that just lights me up. I never miss a weekly newsletter. I never miss an opportunity to, have a conversation in the inbox. Oh, I should probably teach that. Let me look at my stats. And I compared my stats with some other people, some other gurus out there. And I thought, I think I know something that they don't. I'm coming at this from a different angle. And for about a year, the travel work didn't feel good. And people would ask me, a mutual friend, Diana and I have, Terry Weaver, he was like, what are you going to do next, Liz? If it's not the RV thing, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. I haven't settled on anything. But when I thought, oh yeah, I'm really good at email, that feels good. I sold my blog almost immediately after and went all in the email marketing space. So yeah, I guess you could say I've been chasing work that feels good for a very long time.
It's one of my favorite things about you. So very honestly, and you do it in ways that people say, well, you can't do that. Especially most of my audience is corporate wonks. So some people might be like, why do you have this person that went on reality television as Survivor, which we'll get to later, and is an entrepreneur? Like, what does she have to teach people that are mostly in corporate America about feeling good? And I think you taught several things just in that path that you went through. My favorite thing of all, though, is that you took the job that you were doing that didn't feel good anymore, and you honed in on the part of it that you loved and then used it as a transition. You didn't it looks like a completely different business. It looks like it has nothing to do with what you did before, but one of the core most important activities for your blog is now what you're teaching, right?
Yes. And I love, the last word of that sentence, Diana said, is teaching. And remember, I come from an education background, right? And so to Diana's point, a lot of people do look at me and look at my career path, so to speak, and they're like, oh, she's kind of all over the place. And I'm like, don't let the rainbow glasses fool you. I actually am very strategic in my decision making, just as you should be in your career. of, okay, well, what's this thing that I like about this job, about this work, about this part of my career, and how can I, remove the things I don't like and move forward with the things I do. So it was, okay, well, I'm an educator. I love teaching. Okay, well, a blog is going to teach people about said topic. It's not going to, it's not the traditional educator. I know, Diana's parents were educators. It's not that traditional path, but I'm still teaching. And even today, I just moved back into my old neighborhood and I'm friends with a lot of the people I went to college with still, or I'm, we're refriending each other, right?
Yeah.
And one of the teachers told me that another one of our old mates was like, sometimes I just feel so bad for Liz because she never went into teaching. She never, really, she was so passionate about teaching. And I said, "Will you tell Heidi LOL because I actually basically created my own school where I have thousands of students
Yeah.
from dozens of countries all around the world, and I'm making, you know, 10, 20 times the amount I would have made if I took the traditional career path. I'm still teaching. I love my students so much. I'm still super passionate. It just looks a little different than the traditional path.
I feel the exact same way, only I'm on like the smaller end because I mostly do one-on-one. And I want to do some more scaled community stuff later, but my parents both taught at the junior college level and then my dad later at the 4-year college level. And my mom always, like when I was in high school, she thought I should be an English teacher because I was a very good writer, a very good communicator. And I didn't do that. I went to engineering school, which I was also good at all of those things. But I feel like I have always taught in every environment that I'm in some way, shape, or form. I have a very distinct memory of my friend Morgan that I used to work with at an ed tech company. She and I were both in product management. And one night, several of us were out to dinner. I don't know why. We were at a training class or something. So we just all went out to dinner and we were talking about what do we think each other's superpowers is. And she didn't even know me very well, but she said, "Oh, it's teaching for sure. It's teaching."
Oh, I love
So,
that.
yeah.
That's so true. Yes, Diana is an amazing educator. Oh, love
Thanks.
it.
I try to be. So a few years ago, you and I attended a retreat that our mutual friend Justin Schenk held in New Orleans. And during that, we had like a little share time, like talk about whatever you want, present something. And you did not talk about email marketing. And you had an impact on a number of people in the room because what you did is instead you told people, you led with, I decided that I was never not going to go pee whenever I had to pee again. So I
Yeah.
want you to tell us about how you got there, why it mattered, and kind of what difference that could make in someone's life or made in your life.
Yeah, so it's such a silly but somehow radical act of self-love, and it was just I think my talk was like how to start taking action and saying yes to yourself more, something like that. How to self-love or something like that was the topic. And yeah, one of the ways that I started saying yes to myself more was to go to the bathroom when I had to go to the bathroom. And y'all, I know maybe you're listening to this at your desk, or you are in the carpool lane right now or something, and you probably have to tinkle a little bit, but you probably, as a corporate person, it's like, oh, well, I have a break in 20 minutes, that's when I'll go. Or, if you're an educator, right? Educators, that was one thing we were taught actually in my bachelor's program in elementary education. They were like, yeah, you're probably going to get a kidney infection or something because you're not allowed to go to the bathroom until your kids are out of the classroom. Right.
Same.
And so, like, it's such a basic need, right? It's an actual need. It's not a want. Your body doesn't want to go to the bathroom. It needs to, go to the bathroom. And so one day I just decided, you know, I'm going to go to the bathroom when I have to go to the bathroom. And that's going to be my way of saying yes to myself. And to bring it, full circle to Diana's question, how has that helped me? It's helped me say yes to other things when I just instinctively know I gotta go, right? Like, oh, yes, I gotta go to this event. I have to sell my blog and move on to this email marketing thing, right? Because I have this, as silly and ridiculous as it sounds, I have this multiple daily practice of saying yes when my body is telling me, this is your next step. This is what you need to be doing. And so when it comes to those career switches, right, to those big, whether you're in a career, and you're trying to up level, ask for the promotion or switch gears, change your position or whatever. Or it's someone like me who's like, well, I started a business like this, but now I want to go in this direction. That stupid, silly act of saying yes to yourself when you have to go number 1 or whatever, like, can really translate to so many other areas of your life. It's insane.
And I'll tell you what, I used to immediately after I got back from that retreat, I started giving myself permission to run to the bathroom if I needed to pee in the middle of a coaching call. And in the entire time, 4 years since then, I've never had anyone object to that. They're like, "Oh yeah, go do it. I'm gonna go get a drink of water." Heck,
literally.
They're part of some of my values are I want to display to people that you don't have to be perfect. You can be very competent. You can be excellent at what you have to do. You don't have to be perfect.
Love it.
So that pure act of saying I'm going to take care of myself shows agency. It is me saying yes to myself. It's showing other people it's okay to say yes to themselves. Are there a few circumstances in life when I would not do that? If I was speaking on a stage to 200 people,
literally,
before, like I'm not going
right.
to
Yeah, be responsible, guys. Like, don't ask in the middle of the job interview or, when you're asking for the promotion. Be responsible. If you got to go before, right? But I love that you do that. And it's a bit of a power move.
I think so too.
And I just call it like a bio break. So in my job, I do a lot of Zoom calls and I'll build in. So what I've done now is like I just build in time if I know it's going to be a 90-minute session, and because I'm the one talking, I'm drinking a lot of water. And so I just build in like, hey, it's a 5-minute bio break. If you got to go. If you want to get a drink of water, you just need a brain break. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the screen. And it's just, again, just saying yes to yourself, just building it in even can really help.
Yeah.
Funny. So funny you brought that up. So funny you remember that.
It's funny because like Ian Ing, our friend that was at that, we talk about that a lot. I will sometimes when Ian's had a very demanding job where he's an IT supervisor and he's had build outs in his company and like long hours. And every once in a while, like I'll text him and be like, have you peed this afternoon? Like it's been part of our vocabulary off and on for that whole
period. Love y'all.
Yeah. So your approach in email, I really want to talk about this. I've had people asking me what I think about this in the kind of some career coach communities I'm in. Your approach to email is to write email like you're talking to a friend. You even have developed your model of email staircase. I want to know how you think that plays in a world where in-depth newsletters are becoming a thing again. We live in the age of Substack. And I've actually had people tell me you should be doing a Substack. Like there people on my list that are like, why aren't you doing this? This seems the way of the future and all that. How do you think we can blend being friendly with our audience with living in an age where people are now wanting more in-depth information?
Yeah, well, I'd love that they want more in-depth information. I feel like there's, it's a sort of backlash to the
Surface.
To the, attention span of a goldfish. When you're really interested in a topic, you are interested in it, right? You read up, you want more information. When you really trust that person as the expert, you want to read everything they have to say. So I love that. But I think it's especially important in the beginning when you're audience building, right? To keep it short, keep it to the point, but keep it friendly, right? Hey, by the way, my name's Liz. I love the 90s and I love email marketing. Great to meet you, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning of audience building, it's really important to keep it, fresh and friendly and short. But I think Substack and things like that work really well for the established person, right?
Mhm.
Like Diana mentioned, oh, people on my newsletter are asking, why don't you do Substack? Those people are already friends, right? So Diana mentioned my email staircase, follower, friend, customer, right? They're not followers, they're friends. I know Diana emails about once a week, maybe sometimes more, right? Depending on her promotion schedule. And so they already, they're sold on Diana Alt. And so they want more. So it makes sense that they're asking for more. I think there's room, and I love that there's room for both methods to survive and thrive right now. But I think the Substack, the longer in-depth newsletters are either for like super niche communities or, for people who already have a super established loyal readership.
I appreciate you saying that. I think that people are making a false dichotomy. Like what I've observed with a lot of people that have asked me or pressed me the most on that or said this is the way, I don't know why anyone would do these short emails, is because we're trying to act like we can't be two things. I don't know anyone that can go more in depth in more different areas about email marketing than you, but that doesn't mean that every single communication has to be that way. And you're building your YouTube to go in depth. So
Yes.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have
There's
to be
just,
an or. Genius of
yeah,
and. The genius of and. So the $9, you have the $9 membership. You were one of the OGs of the $9 membership, which is one of my favorite things to tell new business owners. You can learn from the best for this price point. But why'd you pick $9?
yeah. So it just felt good. I mean, it really on theme for this show, honestly. It was a myriad of decisions that led to that. But it was, how can I get the maximum amount of customers? Right? Because that's what I need, right?
Mhm.
I'm not going to go back to a job. And by going back, I've never really had a job. I'll be honest.
Yes,
uh,
and you worked in the
I've,
gas.
I've, I've created a lot of jobs for myself and other people. Does that count? Um, so it was, how can I get the maximum amount of subscribers converted over to customers? It was, what is a price point that feels good for me and is going to feel good for them? And what is a price point that is going to make me, feel like the work is good and should continue? Right. And so for me, like Diana, I was doing a lot of one on one, I was doing a lot of high ticket stuff. And when I would sell those packages, it would feel good in the moment, but then delivering on that was much harder for me. I have a or at the time, I had a very stressful personal life. And so I wanted my energy to go to, the people that matter the most, right? Because your job is not going to show up at your funeral, right?
Right.
And so it was like, okay, well, what can I do very intentionally to very slowly kind of replace that income? And I thought, well, for $9, maybe in a couple years, I could replace this income. I could do something for a couple years. And for $9, I can turn the computer off at night. And I know a lot of you are going to be able to relate to that of I feel like I'm tethered to my phone. Like y'all, if you're not watching this on YouTube, like if you look at my apps, these are all the apps on my phone. That's it. Like
There's
you probably have
14
like
apps, including
yeah, it's like nothing, right? And you can see my Gmail account, but that is not my work email. I do not have my work email. This is my personal email.
I don't have my
No,
work email on my phone either, or
that's
my
great.
tablet.
That is so great because it just tethers you. And so for going back to the original question, for $9, I felt like I can take my work email off my phone. If someone asks me a question, it can wait 24 hours because you paid me $9. And that's the energy exchange. And so for me, that felt really good. And 4.5 years later, it feels actually phenomenal.
I love the contrarianness of it because, and I also love the success you've made of it because you chose. I always want to ask this question or talk about it. Like if I could practically give some of like Liz's spiels because I actually bought into her membership on day one. If you are on my email list and you like it, thank her because that's why you like it. But I really like how you talk about how purposeful you were doing it. You were doing it for work-life balance. You were doing it to make it accessible. You were doing it to think about having a lot of customers instead of relying on just a few customers. And I watched other people try to do $9 memberships because they didn't have the confidence in their product, which is a whole different ball of wax. So
Yeah.
you had the confidence that you could do this.
Thank you. And I mean, that is a big part of it. And I I'm glad you said that because for me, I look at it a little differently of like, I just love my offer. I love it so much. It's my favorite thing. I think it's the smartest idea I've ever had. So of course I would want to brag about it, AKA market it, AKA talk about it everywhere. But and I love the name of this podcast, Work Should Feel Good, because it still is work. You know, it's it's Friday, 3 o'clock. I could be at the beach. It's 85 degrees out where I live right now, but it's work to sit here. Obviously, I'm having fun, and Diana is one of my absolute favorite people, but it's still work. And after we get off this call, I'm going to have to do a little bit more work, right?
Mhm.
And so it's just like, what is the kind of work you want to do? And do you feel, to Diana's point, like confident about it? And some of the people that have tried, $9 memberships, they're not willing. I mean, it's either what Diana said, they're not confident enough in the offer, or they're not willing to put in the work
Yeah.
because it is work. And that's the same in your career, right? The person is either just super confident and so they move up the ladder because they just expect it, right? Or it seems that way, or they're putting in the work, right? They're doing all the things Diana teaches you to do, right? I really think that's the only difference between anyone that, gets what they want and the person that doesn't.
I just love what you said about the confidence. They just expect it. So often that kind of thing gets like, there's a lot of things that are not inherently bad that we try to make bad, especially if we
Mm,
feel very good about ourselves. And expecting good things to come to you because you worked hard and because you made yourself visible and because you know your stuff is one of those things I think a lot of people feel like is, well, you shouldn't expect things. You should be grateful for everything. You can expect good things and you can also be grateful for what you have and for the things that you're going to have. That's
yeah, and I think the more grateful you become, the more you understand, oh, good things are coming my way. There is so, to me, they go hand in hand. The more grateful I become, the more things just suddenly naturally happen for me. It's like, oh, snap. Like
yeah.
I'm so, I just mentioned like, oh, it's the best idea I ever had. I love it. Like I'm so grateful to that little Liz that was sitting at her computer and said, okay, yes, today is the day. We're going to announce this, right?
Mhm.
I think about that person and I wish I could give her a hug because I'm like, you're a genius. I love you so much.
You're a
And
I was
even
so jealous of you the day you launched that.
LOL. Well, even Diana, I'm so grateful for her. Yeah, she joined on the first day and she's been one of my biggest cheerleaders, I just mentioned, oh yeah, I could be at the beach, but I'm here. Like, I'm so grateful that Diana gave me a platform to come in and chat today. Even if we just mentioned my membership a little bit, I'm just grateful to be putting in the work. It's different when you just expect, oh, I did the work. I just expect the result. Like, I think the gratitude has to be there too. Like, I'm grateful I got to do this work. And now I know that the result will come. I don't know when it's going to come. Y'all, I have been wanting 10,000 people in my membership for like 2 years. We're not even halfway there yet. I don't know when that's going to come, but I definitely expect it to. And I'm so freaking grateful that I see sales coming in every day.
Yeah. Gratitude is an interesting thing. I've had a complex relationship with it. There was a period of time when I was trying to do like the gratitude journal that some people suggest, where you write some 3 things down every day. And actually, there was a point where it became a burden because I was not in the best headspace and it felt like a chore to do that. So I stepped away from it for a while. And now I just constantly do it in my head, though. I don't need to write it down anymore because it's just part of me. And I've thought a lot. I'm having surgery in about a month and a half. I have to be off work for most of the summer. I haven't decided when I'm publishing this. I may be on leave whenever I publish this, but I have worked really hard to have the kind of relationships with my one-on-one clients where they're not upset that I'm leaving. They trust me that I'm going to refer them to someone to talk to, or we're going to get things done before I go out. And I've also worked really hard to have a certain level of financial stability in my professional life. Like, do I always want more revenue in my business? Like, yes.
Amen.
Do I sometimes crab about like, oh, I haven't hit this level yet that maybe I watched someone like Liz hit? Yes. But this is one of my family members said, Diana, like, if you're grousing about spending the rainy day fund, like, you have to remember that it's actually raining. Like, having a brain tumor removed, that's raining. So I'm really actually calmer right now than I thought I would be. So I'm gonna turn a little bit to Survivor because I promised people that I would. I actually asked some people that some we know mutually, some are like my nephew had some questions. Some of the questions about Survivor, and the first thing is kind of a bridge question. So when you did Survivor, you recorded it in 2023, and you took 90 days off that year so that you did Survivor in Fiji, and then you were recovering. What led you to have the confidence that you could take 90 days off of your business and still be able to eat and live indoors when you got home?
Systems, y'all. Systems. I mean, I joked, oh, I've never had a job, but like the corporate world could not exist and would not exist without systems. And I think that if you're thinking about, quitting your job and, starting something freelancing or becoming a consultant or something, Diana will tell you, you need systems, right? You will not escape the manual. You just won't. Yes. And so for me, I applied, and again, the confidence there, I just knew I was getting on. So I started creating the systems immediately. I was like,
yes,
okay, Patricia, that's my sister that works with me. She only worked with me part-time at that time, but I was like, hey, if there's any chance I'm getting on there, these systems are going to take a while. I have, barely any. So we've got to start planning right now. So I actually hired an operations manager, and basically they uploaded my entire brain into a software called Notion and created all the systems. Any little thing I did throughout the day, it is now in Notion. And y'all, let me tell you, when I did that, I was like, wow, I didn't think I really worked that much, but no wonder I sleep
you're tired.
like the dead. No wonder I sleep like the dead at the end of the night. No wonder I'm a little cranky after 7 p.m. if I haven't had a little chocolate or something. And so that really gave me the confidence because I knew I had the systems. My sister came in from part-time to full-time. We kept that operations manager for the summer because I told them I'm only going to be gone 5 weeks, but I know whether I win or lose, I'm going to be exhausted. And so I'm going to need more time. So let's pre-plan, let's, front load some things that normally I would do during the summer. So again, I had the systems, and then I front loaded a lot of the work that I still needed to do so that the system and the automations would just take care of it. And yeah, you could not get me to touch that laptop with a 10-foot pole. I was only supposed to take 1 month off after getting home. I ended up taking nearly 2 months off. So it was like between 90 and 100 days. And Patricia, my sister, was very glad to see me come back. but nothing was broken. Everything had still been done. That was more of a confidence as, now that suddenly she's a full-time employee.
Like,
And not only is she a full-time employee, her boss is gone.
yeah.
Her boss refuses to answer the
Boss
phone.
the country and has
Right.
NDAs and can't talk to people.
Right. So she had, talk about throwing somebody into the deep end of the pool. Can you imagine getting hired and then you're the only person in the office for the summer? She's a trooper. Somebody should really give her a raise.
I love watching the growth in Patricia over the last couple of years, because you did 3 months off in 2024 as well, didn't you?
Correct. So I took time off, and that was much simpler for Patricia.
All up.
And for me, I would say for me, it was harder that year because I wasn't gone, CBS didn't take my phone away from me, right? And I wasn't starving to death when I came home, right? And
Yeah.
so for me, it was, oh, well, what if we add this? What if we add that? And it was this really interesting dynamic. We're sisters, but also between, the lead of the team, that's me, and her, who's sort of, she's the task doer, but she also, she has autonomy. She's had autonomy. And so that was an interesting dynamic. And even this year, we just did a live right before recording this. And she said, I'm so excited for summer because Liz won't be here. so she won't, some of us bosses, we don't mean it. We just have big visions,
Yes.
and we need people on our team to say, hey, actually last week you said this was our number one priority. Are we
Is it?
still
What you're doing?
on that track, or, do you want us to completely abandon that project?
Yeah, I have those conversations with myself.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah. Funny story, when I went to the neurosurgeon,
Mhm.
because like he's like, okay, you need to do this. Basically, we're deciding that. And here's what it means. You have to be off work for 8 weeks. I just looked at him and I said, my boss is not going to be happy about that. He didn't
LOL.
for myself, but the nurse practitioner and my family
Yeah.
member that was in the room with me did.
You
And
start
it's
laughing.
like, I fill out a form, like it's the law, they have to let you. And so we just bust a gut. And then he's like, but he said, it's 8 weeks. And the reason it is because he's like, you can do anything physically you want. If you want to, when if you want to go walk 3 miles a day and you feel up to it, do that. But I do not need you to do any strategic planning because your brain is healing. So I guess I'm going to be writing 8 weeks of emails sometime in
Yeah.
a few weeks.
Well, I'm excited you can use the membership, and then when you're 8 weeks off, you can catch up on Survivor.
I only have 46 and a half seasons left to watch.
Look,
So,
they're great on a binge. 8 weeks.
8
I
weeks.
think you could do it.
My friend Tamara asked, what made you decide to do Survivor to begin with?
So, I've always wanted to be on the show. I ever since I saw them eating rats on TV, I was like, that's my type of weird competition. I just love it. And so on and off in my life, survivors come in and out. But it was never a possibility until I had created my membership, until I had, work that felt so good because I had created such an intentional offer. And so what made me actually pull the trigger on it was me looking at my calendar and saying, yeah, actually, I think with a little bit of prepping, I could take 5 weeks off of work. And that's really what made me apply to be on the show finally, after a lifetime of wanting to do it.
That and a sassy 7-year-old. So.
Yes, and my 7-year-old was like, "Are you going to talk about it? Or are you going to do it?" Right? And y'all, I had a client call that next day that had canceled, and I was like, "It's a sign." I mean, whatever. And I applied, and they emailed me about 15 minutes later.
That is wild to me.
It's wild to everyone, even other people that have played. They're like, "What? That's crazy." And what's even wilder, y'all, I was in Eastern time. So I applied at like 10:30 in the morning Eastern. Casting directors and producers are in Pacific time, right? They live in LA. So it must have been like 7:30 in the morning. Her name's Penny. Penny must have just been like getting out of bed, turning on the computer, or maybe it pinged on her phone. Maybe she has her work email on her phone. Probably. Those people work hard all year round. And she must have watched it and just immediately emailed me back. It's insane.
That's one of my favorite things, because especially like I found the dark side of Reddit, aka the Survivor subreddit, whenever it's your season, which doesn't know what to do with Liz, because she was like an icon for many reasons on her season, and then she goes into this forum that was mean to her, and is always nice. You're always answering questions.
Oh, you see me in there nowadays? Yeah, I've turned the tide. That's something you want to talk about, superpowers. I have this superpower.
The people love you.
Yeah, I can diffuse like any situation. And so yeah, that's so funny that and this is great to have when whether you own your own business or have to work in an environment with other people. It's like it's so good to be able to turn people's opinion around.
You're really good about to me, the thing that I've observed in you, I've tried to cultivate in myself, and I observe in other leaders, is like really understanding the difference between being upset at the person and addressing the issue at hand.
Amen. That's a sound bite.
Everything from serious work stuff, or like if you're in the government, like crazy government policy stuff, all the way down to somebody that's not happy with their life making fun of you when you were on television and you were, in a subreddit. Like all of those situations have to do with, can we understand what's the issue at hand? You can't do anything about the person that's upset, except for maybe in a subreddit, except for maybe say, thank you for your question, or just let it go internally.
Yeah. And this was something I learned at university, right? It was, how to address the issue, because that can be really scary, right? And you want to talk about, having work that feels good, or even a work environment that feels good, is having people like that are like, okay, let's just cut to what the issue is here and let's talk about it directly. Because this was a conversation I even had with my sister, my assistant, recently. Was we were having an issue in the inbox with someone, and she called me. She said, I feel sick about this. I just feel really sick about this. I feel like we're not on the same page. They might be upset. I don't want them to be upset with me, because then they're going to be upset with you. And, my reputation is everything, right? I mean, that's everybody. And, one person says a bad thing, all of Reddit hates you suddenly, right? And I said, well, let's just get them on the phone. Give them my phone number right now. Let's just,
Let's do
I
it.
don't yeah, and then today, I got on the phone with them, they ended, this is so fun. I'm having so much fun. And I'm like, okay, great. When yesterday I know dang well they were ready to curse me and Patricia out, right? And
Yeah.
so then I just went and I said, hey, the next time this happens, let's just, like Diana said, let's just cut right to the issue, get them on the phone with me. I know we can address this. And so I think that's what a lot of leaders aren't well versed in, or they don't ever rehearse addressing the issue. They want to deal with the drama of it all, right? When really it doesn't have to be dramatic. If we just, I love that Diana said that, just address the issue. Even in job interviews, any job interview I've had, I wanted to, you're thinking in your head, how can I be really good at this job? How can I make a great impression? I literally just ask. I
Yeah.
say, I know I could do a good job. You tell me how I can do a great job.
I think that's a really, that is also a power move. Just to express your own confidence in your skills and say, I'm up to the challenge of being great. It is.
Yeah, so true.
I've got one from my client. This is the best question I've ever seen related to you on Survivor. Hands down.
Okay.
So my client and friend Erica said, who she's the one I told you about that had been a Survivor fan for like the
Yes.
very beginning. She said, I love feminine rage in pop culture,
LOL.
especially in TVs and movies. Your Applebee's challenge meltdown was a masterclass in like processing emotion in real time. What are some of your favorite feminine rage moments in
That,
pop culture? Can you think of any besides your own?
yeah. So, well, Diana, what are some of your favorite? And maybe that will help trigger me.
Oh gosh, I think that
Oh,
the,
Sinead O'Connor, Saturday Night Live, when she
yes,
ripped the Pope's picture in half. I
yeah,
don't even think I was alive when she did that, but
I
I
was,
remember watching it on Comedy Central. They re-aired it.
yeah,
And I'm a huge fan of comedy. Even, female comedians that just aren't afraid. It's female rage wrapped up in humor. Like someone like Sarah Silverman, Nikki Glazer well, she's not new, but she's more like moving into like A-list celebrity, I would say. So even Mean Girls, the movie Mean Girls, right? Tina Fey adapted that as a screenplay. The fighting and the looking at the high schoolers and the high school girls as animals from the Sahara. I feel like that's it's a form of feminine rage in pop culture, of saying like, yeah, this, what, this is hard as a teenage girl, and we're all just trying to get by, but somehow, fighting each other. And I, maybe those are some of my favorites.
I thought of the right when you said it, I thought of the Sinead O'Connor thing, and anything Sarah Silverman does kind of fits in that category, especially earlier in her career. And for those
Mhm.
that aren't big Survivor fans, Liz was on season 46, and there was a moment where she was starving more than normal because she was allergic to everything. And so she couldn't even eat the food that was available. And she was denied the opportunity to go on a food reward for something she could have eaten and snapped on national television. And it was wonderful. Um, I mean it
Yeah.
in like, it was healthy processing of emotion, even though I was sitting in my living room going like, "Why did they starve my friend?" Even though it's a year later.
Yeah. Well, what's so funny is last night I was paid to do an improv show. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, you should, because I'm going to pull up a picture. And there were these men there with pictures of me screaming and on t-shirts, and it said, I'm pissed because that's what I scream. And I think the lesson I got out of, well, first of all, that's just so funny, but the lesson I got out of that feminine rage and being on international TV. Survivor is aired in 125 countries. Like there's, outside of sports, there's not really a show that's bigger in the world. Is that, sometimes it is okay to express your feelings. And I loved that, in a game for $1 million, you can get voted out for snoring too loud, okay? For just being annoying. And I have this moment and I think, oh gosh, I'm out of here. I lost it. I'm going to get fired essentially, right? They're firing me from the game. I'm going. There's no way anyone wants to work with such a loose cannon. But in that moment, our environment was incredibly stressful. And the person that I freaked out on was a very chaotic human who was just wanted someone to do that to him, just begging for it. And every single person came up to me and said, "You know what, Liz, you're braver than me. I've been wanting to do that since the moment I met this person." And in that moment, I received a lot of grace, right? Because I was being incredibly hard on myself. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That's going to be on national TV. It's all I'm ever going to be known for. There's no way they're editing that out. Like, oh gosh, what's my daughter going to think? What's my brother going to, like all these things, if I would have kept my mouth shut, maybe I'd still have a friend, but everyone gave me grace. And that's when I realized that as much as I give grace, I give people the benefit of the doubt. I tell them no sweat, no worries. Oh my gosh, people can do the same for me, even in my darkest moment. I mean, y'all can Google it. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes somewhere. Like, it's intense. Okay. It is intense. That is not editing. That is not production egging me on. Like, that is pure, unfiltered. I'm starving and I feel like I've been wronged. And so I think when we bring that back to, the real world, of course, we don't want to be inappropriate. We don't just want to be popping off at the mouth. But it taught me that, I don't have to be so hard on myself when I make a mistake, when I'm late to the meeting, when I say something kind of stupid I wish I didn't say. I can just simply address the issue. Hey, yeah, that was messed up. I'm sorry about that. How can we move forward? How can I make this feel better for you? And people will give you grace a lot faster than you think.
So many people never learn to give themselves grace. That on one hand, like the experience of going to Fiji, being on Survivor, going through all of that, the kind of health and psychological things that happen after that for so many of the cast members of seasons, including you, that's huge. But if that's the price you pay for the rest of your life to be able to give yourself more grace, it might not be that high of a price. That's a long time you got to live.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel great about it. I mean, sometimes I'm like, "Oh, wow." But then I remember, "Oh, actually I was just very hungry and very like emotionally." I mean, we were all emotionally manipulating each other. So it's not like I'm saying, "Oh, it's a traumatized." I was doing it back to them as, 10 times as much, but that's, me at literally my worst moment. And you just better thank your lucky stars that there are no cameras around you, when you're at your literal lowest moment. And just remember that the next time you make a flub or, oh, I went off the handle a little bit, maybe just put yourself in timeout and give yourself a hug and get back in the ring.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I have a couple of like lightning round questions.
Yeah, I love it.
I know you got to go.
It's all good.
Do your weekend. You have an 85-degree beach to go visit. What is the worst piece of advice, career advice you have ever received?
Don't do that.
Ooh. Did you hear it a lot?
All the time.
all the time.
I still do.
I know you heard don't do $9.
Yeah, don't do that. Or why would you do that? LOL. Step back. Watch me.
Yeah, hold my beer. What is a personal habit that's helped you be successful?
A personal habit that's helped me be successful is I I don't know if it's a habit, just not allowing myself to give up. I don't know if
Just
that's a habit. I don't
the way
A
of
habit, I guess, is just getting my butt in the chair every day. Even
okay.
if I don't feel like it. I don't allow my feelings to dictate my actions.
I love that. So many people talk about not being motivated to do this, that, or the other. And I have a complicated relationship with that because I have like physical energy limitations
Same, same.
and you do too. But that's not the same as not being motivated. Like I'm in the chair every day, even if I have to take a nap after lunch. So
Yeah, and y'all, your best looks different every day. So sometimes my best, because Diana and I have both had different health problems for the last few years. Sometimes my best is I just get on this one call today, and then I take a nap. But I I'm
you,
still in motion.
what's something you've changed your mind about recently? Like it could be right away or like last couple of years. What have you changed your mind about?
So I'm kind of a black and white thinker. I'd like to think I live in the gray, but I don't. I'm an extremist. But especially after going on Survivor, I realized that, it doesn't, your best really does look different every day. And so something I've changed my mind about is like, what does winning look like? Like, spoiler alert, I didn't win Survivor. I came very close. I was the last person eliminated from the competition. And speaking of giving yourself grace, for a long time, I did not give myself grace. I felt like, you know, double L on the forehead loser. And I would argue with people when they said, "Oh, well, you won because of this." And I'm like, "No, actually, I lost. Like literally, I lost." But I'm slowly changing my mind around that because I see so many different ways it's impacted me in a positive way.
What's a common misperception people have about your work?
Oh, that it's more complicated than I let on. It's really not. I have a very simple business model. A lot of people that are, like above my level, they're like, "Oh, but I know you're working super hard." And it's like, well, when I'm working hard, but I'm only really working like 10 to 20 hours a week. Like it's really not more complicated than that.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had. I appreciate
Okay.
you coming. What do you want people to know about? I'm gonna put up the lizwilcox.com. I do have a fair number of people who are doing side businesses or starting, their own consulting firms and probably need some email marketing. Do you want to tell a little bit more about your membership so they can get
Yeah, sure. So if you're a consultant or you're trying to do some freelance or maybe you're trying to build an audience of your own for a paid newsletter or something like that, I do have a $9 a month membership where I write your weekly newsletters for you. So it's not this chat GPT, tell me what to write this week. It's very like Diana, I can't help but strategize, right? So
Mhm.
we talked about the email staircase, follower, friend, customer. I help you take those followers, turn them into friends, people who know you're invested in them, people who relate to you. I help you stay top of mind with them so that you can convert them into customers later, whether you're thinking physical products, digital products, or, services, again, like consulting or something like that. That's what I help you do. Every single week, I write your newsletter for you. It's like Mad Libs, fill in the blank. Speaking of AI, nowadays, you could just put my template into AI and say, "Hey, I'm this person. I have this tone. Can you fill in these blanks for me?" And it'll spit something out for you. $9 a month. Why not give it a try?
Why not give it a try? A couple of things I'll say about it are number one, I used it with ChatGPT for the first time last week because I've trained it on a bunch of stuff and it did a pretty
Cool.
good job. I was excited. And
Cool.
number two, for those of you that are strategic thinkers, Liz gives you the strategy behind every email newsletter too. So she explains, we're trying to get people to click because that's good. Then you'll show up in the main inbox. We're trying to do this, that, or the other, so that it's not just an email, it's an email that fuels a business. So Liz, thank you so much. I love having you on here. I always love talking to you, and you're the best.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can't wait to see people create better work that feels so good to them. Thank you so much.